Wow.
Okay, here we are.
Welcome,
Thank
Jaya.
you. Thanks, Simone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we were chatting a bit before about what we want to cover, and I have so many things I'm curious about with Jaya's experience. But we also really wanted to get a sense of just landing in something practical. So we thought maybe we would start with a somatic practice and then move into our conversation and leave a bit of time afterwards for some questions if anyone would like to ask Jaya questions. And that'll kind of be the flow for the hour. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we thought, well, I thought that a great practice to do just to begin with is a practice where you can start to find these sternocleidomastoid muscles that are just kind of right underneath your jawline here. And they're kind of like ropey muscles. And what you can do is start to grab them. And as you do, and kind of go down the front of the neck. And they are very directly linked to the to the sympathetic, the fight flight system. And so as you kind of grab and massage them, you'll start to notice like, oh, something just lets go and releases in your system.
Yeah, I already feel like a big sigh.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a good indicator that the system starts to settle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because so many of us hold this tension in our throats, right? So much grief or also fight flight, like sympathetic charge energy, gets stuck in the throat. And then we'll have this constricted throat. So that technique alone is just a great one to help, any time in the day you can just do it and just start to really land back in your body and in the moment. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great anchor.
Do you know why there's so much gets stuck in the neck? Like what?
Oh, well, it is the channel of the vagus nerve. So the
Yeah.
vagus nerve going from, the back of the brain stem, behind the esophagus, behind the heart, the lungs, and into the gut. So it is running through there. And so, just the muscles getting, and also so much unexpressed, whether it's emotion or words or different kinds of things that has us, kind of clench, not only through our jaws, but all the way down into our throats and chests. Sometimes it goes all the way into our heart space where it feels tight and contracted. So yeah.
Cool. Well, you've got such an amazing array of experiences in this field of work and in the field of somatic healing and trauma healing. You've come to it through your own personal life experience with medical issues with your son. And then you also have this enormous interest in spirituality, and you have a lot of background with yoga and all of that. So I'm curious about the interweaving of your experience. So, maybe there's something you'd like to share about just your life and what got you to this journey.
Yeah, that is a good question and a rich one. Yeah. Well, I'll start with something that we're going to go into in this call, which is, I think, quite a fascinating topic for everyone, which is a near-death experience that I had when I was about 25 years old. And I was living in Cameroon, West Central Africa, and volunteering with the UN. And I got cerebral malaria. Yeah. And so I almost died in the hospital. It was close. And but what I remember, more than being afraid or, I mean, it was really uncomfortable because I was so sick, but I remember, eventually just starting to feel like everything got so quiet. And it was just, my mind got so still. And it was some of the greatest peace that I had experienced in my lifetime. And, I couldn't walk anymore or bathe myself or, brush my teeth or eat or anything really. I think I'd still talk a bit, but it was, the peace was the most profound thing. And I really would have been happy to not have that leave. um, yeah.
Is that
And
something that you can still tap into, like having
um,
had that experience, or does it feel like it's just been veiled over by life again,
mm,
life experiences?
well, I think what I tap into, and we all have themes throughout our lifetime that we revisit. And often they can be a trauma that we continue to revisit, or it can be like a life theme, like we're working to integrate, well, I don't know, betrayal or, whatever a theme might be for us. But for me, there's a theme of going to the light. And so what I can say is that that theme has replayed in many circumstances. And that is really what big part that brought me to this work. But before then, I um, I after that near death experience, I catapulted pretty strongly into spiritual practice.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that was like my great fascination with the light for a couple of decades that went on until I finally had a session, a somatic experiencing session with Dr. Abby Blakesley from Montana. She was in Canada, where I'm from, and giving a course on the integration of near-death experiences and altered states and anesthetic states and all of those kind of states, which I was there studying. And she gave me a session that dramatically helped me to integrate that near-death experience that I had in Cameroon like 20 years before.
So all the spiritual practices that you had done, and maybe you can name some of them,
Yeah.
didn't help you integrate that experience until you came to this kind of somatic approach.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. It was more like, so I mean, I I went to all of the charged places in the world. That some of the most charged places, like I walked the footsteps of Jesus through Israel. I was in Thich Nhat Hanh's, the Zen Buddhist monks monastery for months and many different times in the south of France. At Taizé, also in France, which is like an ecumenical um, uh, place where youth gather and chant and Gregorian, sing Gregorian chants in a massive church of 6,000 people. I went to India I've spent probably about a year in India for 5 different times, going to Ramana Maharshi's ashram, sitting with a few other enlightened sages, going to Muji's ashram in Portugal 6 or maybe 7 times. Seeing him in India. I mean, it was endless. It was really endless. Going to the pyramids in Egypt, going to, the Sacred Valley of Peru, really just any place I could find that I felt had this really light energy, like a way that I could keep returning to this light was really what I was seeking, and quite subconsciously, because I was in my mid to late 20s. So, and I think so that somatic integration of the near-death experience, which was largely integrated in that session that she gave me, really made me realize that I've lived with one foot in the kind of spiritual, expansive, beatific realms, and the other foot on the earth for decades. And so it was a great help. And the spiritual practices had me merge with the light, but not in and through the body.
Mm.
And I think, I mean, even though I became a yoga teacher, I studied yoga for, years and years with many great, David Swenson, Ramanand Patel, Heart Laser, some of these, different people from North America and India. I still didn't fully land in my body because, I mean, yoga is fantastic, but it's not necessarily designed for trauma integration. It's designed to do many other things, open the nadis and the chakras, and help us to quiet the mind to move into meditation and know who we are. But it's not necessarily for trauma integration specifically. So it didn't unwedge some of those traumatic memories, or particularly that near-death experience. Yeah.
And so what was it then in the somatic work that did help you integrate that? What did that look like?
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking there's one piece that I didn't mention yet, was that what really catapulted me into the somatic work was the birth of my son 15 years ago, who was born with a lot of health challenges. And it was that catapulted me into studying somatic trauma integration, although I had already been studying energy therapy for 7 or 8 years by that time, after I'd returned from India. So, and quit my government job in the Canadian federal government as a consultant working on poverty reduction projects, which I did for another 7 or 8 years. Mm-hmm. So after my son was born, that was, again, these big experiences that return you to the light, because I will never forget him being born and being in the neonatal intensive care unit and staring up at the fluorescent lights in the hospital corridor, and just being completely shocked, because we didn't realize he was going to arrive and not in perfect form, let's say. So, but this theme of returning to the light and these images of light throughout my journey. So of like times that it's really deeply held in my body's memory that, here I am looking for or at the light again, and how that really influenced my perhaps my capacity to be able to feel held within all of my life's various experiences, which we all know life can be traumatic and is traumatic at different times for all of us, right? And so it could be an interesting thing for who's ever watching or listening to reflect on, what is my life's theme? Is there something that threads, like what is the thread that moves through my lifetime of experiences that feels poignant for my soul's journey, and how might it help me to really meet it in and through the body?
Yeah. How does the trauma work weave itself into that theme of coming to the light, or following the light, or seeking that?
Yeah.
What's the intersection there for you?
Yeah. Well, I think that, like I said, from studying the near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, and myself being in a lot of different spiritual states throughout my lifetime, that, trauma can propel us into the light involuntarily, right? So whether we, whether we meditate our way towards the light, or whether we have a near-death experiences that lands us directly in the light, that those can be there's a profound kind of some things don't have words, but let me try to find them.
Well, one thing you had mentioned earlier was that notion of voluntary versus involuntary. Does that get
Yeah.
into it a bit?
Yeah. 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 Mm, yeah. I'm just trying. Give me a moment. Let me
Mm.
just see what comes. Mm. I think that, or I sense that, or I feel that as a somatic practitioner, maybe better to say I feel that. Um, you know, our journeys are about embodying the light throughout a lifetime. And so whether or not it's voluntary or involuntary, that we meet the light, or whatever you want to call it, God consciousness, or who you are, or the number of deities that you could name, um, that this is a lifelong journey of inviting that into our own selves, and to really welcome the expansion that comes alongside the light, even when trauma brings the opposite of contraction.
Mm.
Right. And so how do we hold both within our own vessel, within our own container? And I sense that those experiences that have involuntarily sent me into the light, have laid the groundwork for me to also be able to access it more readily from a voluntary state of choice, more choice. Yeah.
You something in your wording, and I'm just wondering, because my perception, you're saying it's bringing the light in, so to speak, or how, and from my perception, it's more about, isn't it what's been clouded over, it's what's always here.
Yeah.
And so the light is always here.
Yeah,
that essence of who we are is always here, but it gets fragmented, it gets clouded over, and then that's when we lose touch with the sense of who we are at our very core.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can, I guess, say it either way. Whether it's like uncovering the light that already exists within by working with the quality of contraction, or all the various sensations that arise when we work with our trauma somatically, by meeting that, and then and then that allows the light, which is always there, to come forth. Or whether we also connect with the light outside of us and invite it to take up more space within our embodied experience.
Yeah.
I guess both are happening all the time. Yeah.
It's hard to describe in words.
Yeah.
What has been, well, I guess I'm curious about, what were your own experiences when you came to that somatic, that shift from like just, pursuing the spiritual teachers and practices to then making this, that it sounds like that session you had with this woman 20 some years after your near-death experience really had a profound impact on you. What was it in that session that made such a difference?
Yeah. And I will say, all the sessions I had before that, throughout the 4-year training, and all the consults we had to do and everything, and all the work that led up to that was part of it. But the cool thing actually about that woman was she was born in Cameroon, where I was living when I got the cerebral malaria. So we had this felt sense of the place together. And that was quite profound.
I can imagine.
Because as she walked me around the stage in front of 70 people studying this course, because I was the demo, And she was talking about walking through the heat and the Cameroonian day and the kind of flora and fauna that they had there and how that felt. And we both knew it in our bodies, the felt sense of it. And it's like we were in this altered state, to be honest, together. And in addition to the natural environment that we both could connect with in, if you want to say, an altered state, there was also her capacity to meet me in my own altered state of the near-death experience, which she very gently walked me towards, and that I was able to move through my body through various movements and visuals and emotion and sound, I think, that it was able to come back into my body, like the fragments that had split off in my psyche were able to come together and anchor. And so
very shamanic process, it sounds like.
Yeah, it is also. You can say it also like that. It was quite something. It's very much like weaving all the little pieces and bringing them back, reassociating the elements of, we would say in somatic experiencing, of SIBAM, like the sensations, images, behavior or impulses, affect or emotions, and then meaning.
Yeah.
And when they can all reassociate in a way, somehow, come together, some more strongly than others, and however it comes together, that the gestalt of a complete experience has been finally allowed to take place, and the body can come to peace with what's happened.
And is that something that you just know, like, oh, there's a shift that's happened, or what gives you that sense?
I think, after that, life felt less floaty. I can't say it in another way, but it was more vivid. It was more like I was really in it. Like I was more here than maybe here or something. Yeah. And this is, I think, the fantastically interesting thing for many spiritual practitioners or seekers, is that, we can be rewarded in many ways in spiritual community, or ashram life, or, monastic, if we're staying at monasteries for long periods of time, whatever, Buddhist or Christian or whatever they are. In these spaces, we can be really rewarded for being in these
dissociative states.
Yeah, like it's like, oh, I'm just hanging out over here, and that's because I'm so spiritually awakened. And actually, it's because I was so like split. If I don't want to say split in the psychotherapeutic sense necessarily, but it's more like split between the worlds. Like one foot is in the beatific realm when the other is kind of locked in the terror of the sensations, unintegrated sensations in the body. And so it's that split between the heavenly and the earthly realms that haven't been brought back into wholeness.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the embodiment process is kind of the heavenly realm, in a sense of like, it's the both together. It's but in a way that is connected.
Yeah, connected is a very good word.
Yeah. You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
What was the question I had asked you? Is like, what is the kind of ultimate goal, if we could give it some kind of term of somatic work? And you said connected.
Yeah. And I think many different people in the trauma field talk about that. They bring that word connection, that's kind of the opposite of trauma. What trauma does to us is disconnect us from our body. Right. And connection, is like the goal of, being connected to our body, to other people, to our environment. This is really the goal of, if you want to say a goal, but of the work, or where the work eventually takes us to. Yeah.
And if you look back over the work you've been doing in this field, and also in your own life with your son, what stands out to you? Like, there's so many different therapeutic approaches of how people have a healing journey or whatever. And what is it about your work in this field that, I don't know, that you're passionate about, or that you go, no, this really works. I've seen people, it changes their lives, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, the integration of every either dissociated or highly activated state in the body is really rewarding to watch. And I watch that every day when I see clients. That's highly rewarding for everyone, to experience that directly. What I love, even beyond that, is the integration of altered states. So with my son, for example, I worked, after medical interventions, I would work with him to integrate the anesthetic state, because he would come out often and he wouldn't be quite back, and he would be bumping into things and getting bruised and banging up, or he would do sports at school, but he couldn't breathe properly anymore, like, getting out of breath quickly in ways that weren't usual. And so we worked with the effects of anesthesia on his system, and they were quite profound. And he came back, very much so from other places where he was stuck, like absolutely.
And what would that look like? Like examples of what kind of practices would then really help him sort of re-embody?
It was more the work of the integrating those altered states, which is pretty fragile work. So I wouldn't just tell anyone to do it.
Yeah.
Like Dr. Levine spent 10 years deciding if he would even teach it to somatic experiencing practitioners who had already studied for 3 to 4 years within his own system. So it's not something I would just tell the general public what to do.
Yes, right.
But yeah, there's just ways of staying with the body and the breath and different things to be able to support people to feel safe enough to come out of those realms. And to, those courses are called the Eye of the Needle in somatic experiencing. And it's really like threading the needle, and that's how fragile or precise that work is, you could say, to thread someone's soul back into their body.
Intriguing.
Yeah, if you want to say it that way. He doesn't say it that way. I just said it that way.
Yeah.
But it is called the Eye of the Needle because it's like threading just that very those very vulnerable parts of our self that have been left outside of our body, and inviting them just gently back in a way that is not overwhelming to that system.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful to watch. I mean, with my son, he would just watching him come back was like really like a movie. Like he would sit up and look around the room like it was the first time he saw it. And I was so amazed or moved by watching him return. And I can't imagine what a different child he would be now. I mean, now he's 15, but if he hadn't had that work done, because he would maybe be very spacey or struggle to perform, if you want to say perform or function in various normal daily activities, even learning at school or whatever. I'm imagining it would be quite different if he didn't have that work done. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we might just check in with you guys if there are any questions or anything you're curious about. You can put it in the chat if you want, or you can come on, and if no questions come up, we'll just keep going. But just wanted to check in if there was anything that brings up curiosity. All right.
And we're also happy I'm going to offer another practice, and
Yeah.
you're more than welcome to join in that too, to help you to anchor in your own bodies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a question a moment ago and it just fluttered out my brain.
Is
Well,
it something about what I mentioned about my son, or
yeah.
take your time, take a moment.
Well, I guess I'm also just curious about altered states, like
Yeah.
what are they? What defines them? You know, we we tend to kind of think that, okay, we're in a certain state, and that idea of altered states is somehow a little bit weird, but actually we're constantly weaving in and out of different states of consciousness, right?
Yeah.
So maybe just speaking to what your understanding of that is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we can be daydreaming even in our daily life, which we all do, at different times, even if it's for a moment or two in the day. And that's a little bit of an altered state. We're kind of leaving our regularly focused consciousness, where we're more narrowly concentrated on something. And and we kind of drift off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's, that level of altered state all the way up to, maybe being on an ayahuasca trip somewhere in the Amazon, right? So, that's a pretty altered state. And I will say, as I just mentioned that now, and I know that you've done quite a bit of work in that field as well, helping people to come back or to integrate their journeys post ayahuasca or plant medicine or other kinds of psychedelic states. Is that something I noticed because I have assisted some retreats with an ayahuasca who is a great friend of mine. Haven't done it in a long while, or a few years. But what we noticed was so interesting was that when people would have sessions, somatic experiencing sessions or sessions prior to going into ceremony for these psychedelic journeys, that they would very much journey in and through the body in like throughout their throughout ceremony, throughout their whole journey, their psychedelic journey. And prior to that, they would very much go out and go into the cosmos and be very expanded and expansive, flying across the universe. But then after, when they had done the somatic sessions before the ceremony, they would very much have that within their own body.
Interesting.
And it just really changed their experience of their ayahuasca journeys. Yeah. So more coming down than in.
Yes.
And I guess that's the thing with the altered states. I mean, I don't know what is the purpose of them if they're not serving our daily life, where we're just going through what we do every day. If they're not able to be integrated as wisdom through our bodies and helping us to serve the people around us or ourselves, then what are they for?
Yeah.
So
would you say that it very much ties into the work you do? Like,
yeah, very much so, because there's different people who've had, surgeries of different kinds. I had a woman who had brain surgery, and we renegotiated the whole surgery, and she became lucid in her life again, and she could function completely differently than she did before. We did a few sessions. So that's just one example. And then also different people who've been split off, like in different ways, from having strong Kundalini awakenings. Those people as well benefited a lot from learning how to integrate the altered state in and through their own body. Yeah, and how to settle some of that energy, which can be very disruptive and very uncomfortable if it goes on and on, in their throughout their life.
Do you think a lot of it has to do with like somehow strengthening the body itself so it has the capacity to hold those fragmentations or those energies, or is that part of the work?
Yeah, I mean, definitely building the nervous system capacity to be able to anchor energy within our own system, to be able to bring it in and down as opposed to having it rise up and like stir so much. I mean, I'm thinking of Ayurveda, all the vata energy in the head, that it's very dysregulating when it stays up here and it just moves around, and there's no way to move it out of the body.
So in a way, it sounds like a lot of it's like alchemy. It's like you're transforming one form of an experience and energy and transforming it into the body, like so that the body has the capacity to hold that experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like how do we alchemize the beauty of these altered states into the gold of our being, which is primarily experienced through our body.
Right.
Like that's how we are. We are human, know. So we're going to experience it all through here. So how does that journey happen where the beauty of all these vast realms can be enjoyed within this limited vessel?
Right. Yeah.
And I guess that's spirituality, if you want to say.
Yeah.
Or spiritual humanity, or that allows us to experience the unlimited within a limited form.
Yeah, that spirit coming into matter, and somehow within that limited realm of matter that it still knows itself as spirit, or something along those lines.
Something vaster than the confines of the flesh. And I mean, I guess what I love to share with spiritual seekers in particular is, when we have nervous system regulation on board, how much easier it is to really enjoy the vastness of these other realms. Because otherwise, if we're wired and tense and our bodies are really bracing, there's much less space to invite in that more vast energy into our vessel. It's like we're resisting. We're kind of bumping up against life, and we're not able to attune to the subtlety of the nature of, which is the spiritual realm personified, or the subtlety of the whispers of whatever speaks to us, through whether it's your, spirit guides or God or Mary or Jesus or Buddha or, Krishna or whoever you talk to.
Yeah.
Or maybe you just talk to the plants, and that's enough.
Yeah.
To have a whole mystery, the mystery of life revealed to you within your own cells, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we can't really receive it when we're in survival mode and very dysregulated. It's just not the space to enjoy it really deeply.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm like,
maybe we'll just check in once more. You guys doing all right? Any questions coming up? It's okay if not, but just checking in. trying to unmute yourself there. Yes.
Hello. Thank you. I'm curious, through your work, when you presumably people come with, say, some trauma that they want to work through, what that process looks like, and how, is there a lot of talking involved? Is it more about sensing in your body? Is it a mixture of both? Does it change person to person? Yeah, I'm just kind of curious how it differs from like somatic therapy of some description, or I just curious to how
What a session might look like or something. Is that right?
yeah.
Yeah, sure. I do somatic experiencing, so Dr. Peter Levine's work, and I also mix it with energy therapy, which I studied for 10 years before I got into the somatic experiencing trauma integration work. So usually someone will come and they'll tell me a bit about what they'd love to work with. So they'll give me a sense of what their physical, mental, emotional, energetic, spiritual patterns are, whatever level they want to work with. And then I get a sense of what their nervous system is doing in relation to, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, kind of, the underpinnings of the autonomic nervous system, but also maps. I use maps of Chinese medicine because I have a general overarching understanding of that. So I can start to get a sense of that nervous system's patterns. And so once we name that, because it's so helpful to just name, like, oh, my nervous system does this, like this is what I tend to do when I'm stressed or in relation to these set of symptoms. And then we just invite somatic exercise. So we'll just do all different kinds of somatic exercise. And I have different tools. I do it in person or online because I can get people to use tools from their own home. And as they start to work with those tools, it shows where the blocks are anatomically, but sensation-wise. So what starts to show up, and then emotion-wise, and then maybe they'll see images, or their body wants to move in a certain way, and it naturally just surfaces, like it naturally just happens for each person. That naturally happens in its own way, and I provide whatever kind of support or not that body needs, because often trauma is relational, right? So I sense what that person needs, and they tell me as well if it's and then their system discharges the bound survival energy related to that set of nervous system patterns or stressors or symptoms they're carrying. And that might look like shaking or having heat or cold run through their body, or trembling, sorry, or different movements that they want to complete that they didn't get to in the past. So and then afterwards they feel quite relaxed, like their mind is calm, their body has calmed down, and sorry. Don't want to override.
Take your time.
Don't want to override. That's about it. So their body feels quite relaxed by the end, and they've let go of a lot of emotion, or they've let go of, I have this thing in my throat, funny, huh? Or just energy. So they've let go of all of that. And then, but not all at once, because, obviously we hold these things because they were completely overwhelming to us. So it often takes a few sessions to be able to work through things sustainably. Yeah. Is that helpful?
Thank you. Yes, it is. Sounds very powerful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you have some examples of, like, when you say tools, like you give people tools, like, do you have examples of what you mean?
Yeah. So I use Smovies, like Dr. Peter Levine's favorite tool, or I use these green rings that have metal ball bearings in them, or I use a body blade, which is like a long tool that people will shake. I use pillows. I have a big yoga ball. I use a rebounder. They all help with different things in different ways
So
that trauma gets stuck.
right. So they help either like, so the body you might shake something in a certain way, and that gets into the body to start to move energy in
Yeah.
a certain way.
Yeah. So an
I've seen,
example.
yes,
Yeah, an
please.
example of that would be, it's a body blade. So it's like this thing you shake, and it's like it goes like wah wah.
It's like a metal,
it's like
kind of a metal thing that kind
yeah,
of,
yeah. It's like, yeah, and so um and so what we're doing with that is, if people have a lot of anger, let's say, unexpressed anger, which so many of us do because it's not culturally accepted, especially for women, but really for all of us, I think. And so the idea is to allow the arms and hands to be able to do something while they feel the anger. And so we're coupling that the bodily impulse to move, shake, hit, or to do whatever it needs to, and also feel the emotion at the same time. And so we're reassociating both the behavior there, and then the emotion or the affect. Like I was saying, the 5 parts of Saibam. So we're bringing 2 of those back together, and yeah, and then people feel quite a relief when you can bring them back together, and then in their daily life they can say, like, no, I don't want that, or that doesn't work for me, or they find that they can assert themselves in different ways that they couldn't previously, like make boundaries of different kinds. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's one example of how I use the tools. Yeah.
Do you have any other, but well, before I ask that, is there anything else that anyone else is curious about? If not, I was going to ask Jaya to do another practice.
Yeah.
Just wanted to give the opportunity if there were any other questions. All right. Okay.
Yeah. And I guess I just want to name too that I have been a full-time single parent for a while with this child that has had significant health issues, which is ongoing to a lesser degree now, but still ongoing. And so I guess I just want to name that, because I just want to say, like, it's not like I have this ideal, perfect, easy life or something, and that that I'm feel as good as I do in my body without having lived significant adversity in my life. I guess I just want to say that.
Life is ongoing, brings its challenges.
Yeah. And so I guess I'm a testimonial. Like, my life is my medicine, is what I want to say. Like, my life is a testimony of the work, that the work works. So I just want to say that.
Cool.
Yeah. So okay, so another practice. Let's do something together. I think we have about 10 minutes left. So we'll let's see, what do we want to do now? Well, one great way to help the nervous system to settle, and it's a very known way from somatic experiencing, but it is to orient around the room, because it's difficult for our nervous system to really calm down unless it knows, like, it kind of knows where it is. So if you want to just take a moment to look around, something we often do at the beginning of a session, just to help us to arrive a bit more.
I do this in my yoga classes.
Yeah.
Often, just so people have a sense of like, oh, I'm in a yoga studio and there's these people sitting around me.
Yeah.
Just to give a sense of like, oh, the nervous system then starts to, okay, I'm safe. I'm okay
Yeah.
for the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's amazing. We think that we know where we are, but often after we've done this, something settles and we realize that not every part of our nervous system realized we've arrived where we are.
Right.
So it's,
And it's that thing about the mind often can tell us, oh yeah, I'm good. But your body hasn't fully taken it in.
yeah,
And so you're taking it in through your eyesight and
yeah,
the sounds, and right. So you're kind of giving your other senses an opportunity to inform the nervous system.
yeah, and to catch up with the fast-paced world that we live in. Maybe we drove in a car or a motorbike to get to a yoga class, swerving through traffic, or and then we think we landed, but we're still back at the last red light that we ran through, or hopefully didn't, but you know what I mean, like the fast pace of everything. So yeah, so that's the beginning. And then a great thing to do is to start to track the breath a bit. So just to notice what it's doing. We're never fixing or changing in this work. We're just checking like what's happening. So is it more in our chest? Or is it a bit lower in our belly? Just to allow it to move how it wants to. You might notice a spontaneous exhale. Yeah, and then the next one. So these are kind of things we can do. These are 4 different things we can do anytime we want to land more. So the orienting, the breath. The third one is feeling the support underneath us. So if you're sitting or lying down, again, just to notice that you are doing that and feeling it. Like through your sits bones, your feet, maybe your back. And again, just noticing, oh, how does that feel when I land in my seat? And then the fourth one is checking in our gut. This neuroceptive feedback from our gut brain to our head brain. What is it that my body's actually saying I need right now? So do I need the bathroom or a drink of water, or just to close my eyes for a few minutes? What is it that my body, maybe I'm hungry, that it's really wanting to tell us? Pick up the cat. And so, yeah, this is a real big part of actually trauma integration is reconnecting with the signals from our own viscera. Like, what is it telling us that we need in order to embody it, in a way that is not constantly overriding its signals to the point where it doesn't communicate with us so well anymore. If I'm tired, can I just sleep or rest my eyes for a few minutes, whatever it is. And so those 4 are really great ways of just coming back to the moment and to landing in our body in whatever space we are relationally. Even if you're maybe having a discussion with a partner or something is heated, imagine just doing those 4 things quickly to get on it quickly, but in a few minutes together, how it might change something to see our old nervous system patterns. It just helps us to land here and now. Yeah.
It's so yeah. We don't tend to do it. They make it a practice. Value that it has, it's easily over, right? All right, we blipped in and out for a moment. Are we all reconnected here?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's maybe something is telling us we're complete.
Yes, right.
So
well, yeah, I think that kind of concludes our conversation, and I just wanted to thank everyone who's here and whoever is also on the recording, and perhaps just a last little piece of where are you offering your work, and what how can people be in touch with your work?
Yeah, sure. So well, there is Simone and my retreat coming up in December. So we have a beautiful somatic retreat that's going to be held in Ubud, December 11 to 18. And so we'll go into all of this work. It's called Going Beyond Survival. So supporting reconnection with the body and nervous system regulation and remembrance of our soul's journey here. So that will be a very beautiful offering. And then there's all kinds of online trainings. So I created the School of Sacred Somatics, and I have a 6-week, 6-month, and a year-long program in there. The 6-week Living Trauma Informed starts early October. And the year-long one will start in January. And then I have some workshops in Ubud, and and then we're teaching on some 100-hour trainings together as well. Yoga trainings with nervous system and somatic trauma integration woven into them.
And yoga nidra.
And yoga nidra. And yoga, of course, yoga and yoga nidra. Yoga nidra as a fantastic regulating tool for the nervous system.
And integration,
And integration. So that's that. So my website is Jaya Hollohan, or the Bali one is Jaya Hollohan Bali. So .com. Both of them are .com, and and we can put them in a chat or wherever. So people can find them. Yeah.
Great.
Oh, and there is one more free webinar coming up on August 29th, Saturday, August 29th, that will accommodate Toronto time, European time, and also Bali time. So that is coming up, and it'll we'll look at what are some of the patterns that lead us to exhaustion and burnout, and how do we work with them. So I'll do more exercises there. It's going to be very live and interactive. So that is also coming up.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.